Hey guys, welcome to On Two Wheels and the lap of adventure touring luxury with BMW's R1200 GS Adventure and KTM's new 1290 Super Adventure. With me this time is not Ari Henning.
In fact, Mr. Henning is bicycling from Sonoma back home to Southern California. But even if Ari were available, I probably would have stolen this assignment because these bikes are totally in my wheelhouse, especially this one. Now, I was at the press launch and KTM said explicitly that that's the target.
And I don't really buy that because although I've ridden the 1290 motor and the old 1190 chassis, I still think that the GS is the king of the category.
Well, Zach, how would you even know? You haven't ridden this motorcycle yet.
Just because the motor's bigger doesn't make it better.
Yes, it does.
I disagree.
And it's got better suspension. And it's more comfortable.
Better suspension than this.
Yes.
As much as we obviously love to argue, there's only one way to answer a question like this, and that's to ride.
So, we geared up, swapped bikes, and headed for the Sierra foothills. This is the cream of the ADV crop, so we made it a point to find the best roads possible.
Both of these bikes have a rugged, sort of off-road look, but the truth is, a curvy mountain road like this is probably the most adventure they're going to see. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because they're both a blast to ride. And before long, Big Bad Boss needs to get something off his chest.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I can kind of see what Zach's on about this GS. You know, since about forever, the GS has been one of the best-selling bikes in BMW's lineup. In fact, the best-selling lineup for about the last decade. And it's pretty easy to see why. I really have very, very few complaints about the GS. You know, the steering is really light, and it tends to get lighter as you turn in, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. It's not as linear, it's not as direct, but I'll tell you something, this toe lever front suspension, it really makes coming in under bumps absolutely amazing. But I have to say, it doesn't quite have the verve of the KTM. The KTM is really aggressive in a refined way, but it's always saying, let's go. And I think that's what emotionally appeals to me about the KTM.
Well, first things first, adjusting the windshield is a pain compared to the GS. And I noticed the kickstand on this bike does not have a very big foot, which means if you put it down any kind of soft material, it just kind of sinks in. All of this is to say, this bike is definitely a little bit less refined than the GS, and that's what happens when you come out with a brand new bike, and the GS has been around for 35 years. The other first thing that I noticed is, holy cow, what a motor. Ah! Oh my god, it's insanity. It's kind of one of those things where you ride the BMW and you think like, yeah, this is enough power, that'll be fine. And then you ride this bike and you start going, actually, this is good. I like this amount of power. Luxury is definitely what you get with both of these bikes, and you really should. So if you're wondering why we're not talking about how the brakes feel or how the aerodynamics are or how the mirrors work, it's because all that stuff works very well. It works the way you would expect when you pay that much money for a motorcycle. This is the top of the line, and it feels like it.
Okay, after a handful of miles on each other's motorcycles, Mark, this is where you admit to them the R1200 better than you remembered, right?
And I have to admit, you're right. BMW has got this whole thing really figured out, and this is the ultimate expression of it. I mean, it's refined, it's quick, it's really capable. There's not a lot to dislike about this motorcycle.
Agreed.
But that thing, tell me, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this motor is just so good. It's amazing how well they've translated it. It feels like the same motor from the Super Duke, but just refined and perfect for this application. I mean, so much power, so much torque. As a sport tourer, pretty much unmatched. But I'll bet the BMW is better than the KTM in one respect, and I will prove it to you. This dirt road is about 15 miles down into town. The paved road is about 25 miles into town. And I'll bet I can take the BMW down the dirt and beat you there.
Dirt versus pavement?
Yeah.
Okay. You're so toast.
What young Zach forgets is that while KTM is a dirt bike company, they have this whole street bike thing really figured out. From lane angle sensing headlights to brand new suspension that adjusts while you ride, the Super Adventure is layered with sophisticated electronics that make a hugely powerful and capable motorcycle easy, yes, and comfortable to ride. This bike is nothing short of stellar at cutting up a twisty road.
And while it took me almost no time to get completely lost, the GS Adventure was totally at home wandering into the unknown. BMW gets a huge thumbs up for creating electronics that really enhance the off-road experience. But what's more amazing is the level of balance and poise that this bike shows. All of this in the face of outweighing the KTM by 40 pounds, and if we're honest, outweighing almost every motorcycle this side of a Harley. Despite getting lost, I arrived at the rendezvous pretty certain that I'd beaten Old Man Cook. But no.
All right.
Where you been?
Yeah.
I've been here for like 20 minutes.
I got a little lost. I thought I was supposed to go right at this one place, and I went left.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight.
Oh my God.
I got here first.
Yeah.
I was warm, I was comfortable, and I had a wicked good road ride. That means I won the bet.
Okay. Maybe that's true, but I am not ready to concede that that's a better bike, because I had so much fun getting lost, and it made me remember why I love this bike so much, which is getting lost is fun. It's encouraged even. I got 8 gallons of gas and electronic suspension. Why not get lost?
But I had a great time on this thing too. This thing rails. I was comfortable. This thing hauls. I was having the time of my life too.
Are you saying you're having more fun than I am?
There's only one person who can solve this dilemma for us.
I know what you're going to say.
There's enough time to get out to the coast, catch up with Ari on his vacation, and let him be our tiebreaker. What do you say?
Okay. All right. Cool.
Let's do it.
I'll race you there.
Cutting across California's Central Valley on perfectly straight roads really emphasizes the touring part of adventure touring. And this is where someone on a lightweight dual sport would be pretty unhappy. These two, however, are absolutely terrific at this. There's comfort and luxury to be found no matter where you are. And in no time, wouldn't you know it, we were right on Ari's tail.
Update. We found Ari Henning, and we are about to ruin his vacation. So Ari, how you liking pedal power versus horsepower?
Hey man, I'm having a great time. I'll tell you what, pedaling this thing's a whole lot more work than twisting the throttle on out of those bikes. But how's the comparison going? How's the test shaking out?
The GS, as you know, you've ridden it. It's the same Swiss Army knife, round the world bike it's ever been. You know, if you were going to get one bike to go anywhere, do anything, you'd get this. And I argue that it's as good as it's ever been, and nothing is better. Cook?
I disagree, but I will concede that the R12 is still a fantastic motorcycle, and I give it the benefit off-road. Okay, all right. But I got another answer for you, and it's called 160 horsepower.
All right.
Fact is, KTM has sort of taken that idea, turned it up a notch in terms of performance, made it a little more sport bikey out of it. Not quite multi-strata sport bike, but just a notch or two down. And for the guy who's never going to take it off-road, I think this is the better bike.
Okay. Well, so I mean, obviously we're at an impasse. We can't figure this out. I say if it's an adventure bike, it needs to be able to go off-road. He says not so. We need an objective third party, and we came and found you for a reason.
Okay, so it sounds like the BMW is still the enormous Swiss Army knife it has ever been. You can do pretty much anything on it, and it sounds like this new KTM has got a bitchin' motor and pretty sporty handling. And it also sounds like you guys are picking nits, because either one of those things is going to be luxury compared to pedaling this. Speaking of which, I'm going to get back to it. So
not really what we had in mind. We kind of need like an
See you at the office.
We need people to know which bike is better. It's important.
As much as it might pain me to admit it, in the end, Ari's right. We never agreed on which bike is best, like we usually do with a comparison. But as odd as it sounds, these bikes are pretty different. This new Super Adventure doesn't work as well off-road, but then again, KTM's got the 1190 Adventure R for that. And the GSA isn't as sporty as KTM's new Super A, but it's as versatile as ever. Whether you pay $20,500 for the KTM or a whopping $22,000 for the BMW, The truth is, you'll be riding an incredible motorcycle. So just ask yourself, quite literally in this case, what kind of adventure do you want to have?
Better suspension than this.
Yes.
This telelever, paralever.
Yeah, you got all the monkey motion going on. Come on, you got way more parts than you need.
Oh man.
I don't know.
Lost it.
Plus
You're
the
supposed
motor,
to like this bike.
The motor is sticky outy in places where it's not
Look
supposed
what color
to be.
this is.
It's not supposed
gray.
to be sticky outy.
You're supposed to like BMWs.
This thing has a romping motor. It's got great electronics.
You're out of control.